My first experience at the National Arts Festival is such a beautiful memory for me because I was at prep at St Andrews Prep, and they made these beautiful jumpers for us, navy jumpers with balloons that said National Arts Children's Festival, and it was my favorite thing to wear like after the experience of festival because it took me back to those balloons and the candy floss and seeing the clown and going to Village Green and essentially coming across theatre on that kind of scale for the first time, theatre, music, production, and knowing that I felt alive, that one experience like hasn't left me. Every year has been different because the first time, I was starting to take myself seriously as an artist. I went to the jazz festival as well as like a wild card because I wasn't really studying music, and every year was different. It was a different way of learning and understanding more about my own artistry. But I think also it was forming what I now understand, like as the reverence that I have for the festival and the artists that it has been honoring all these years. It's shaped my taste in terms of the kind of artist I've wanted to become. I've looked up to people that have been highlighted here, whether it's theatre, whether it's musicians, whether it's dance. The level of artistry I've always aspired to has been on display here for years, and each year I've seen a different corner of that. Disbelief that when you can intentionally go after something and receive it. It felt like a big goal emotionally, psychologically, to expect exponential healing, in this time. But I feel together. I feel like I've pulled myself towards myself. I feel like I've fetched that little girl that has also gone through painful things here. Having that duality and intentionally trying to integrate those two experiences, the joy and the pain. That's what music is for. That's what art is for. That's what I do in my practice. I've always used art to go through the joy and the pain and the mess and the beauty of life. So if I can't do it for myself, then how do I expect to give it away in song? How do I expect to give the fragrance of healing away if I don't intentionally pursue it myself? And I know there's still a lot ahead, but I've been given a lot. In this moment, I can tell you that I feel grounded, and I feel like both of my feet are on the ground, and what I came to ask for, I've received. I was really looking forward to trying to put everything together to get the one through line across, which is the Embo time travel experiment as a concept, And what is time travel? How is a song a time traveling device? And if you think about it, nostalgia, memory, traveling back in time, remembering, unlocking, art does that. Art is a time traveling device, and to be able to express and kind of pursue that concept in more than one medium, in more than one space, has also been a bit of a time travel. And I'm getting such generous feedback about the different elements and how they've moved people in different ways. And I really hope that people can take away, their own ability to heal themselves from this space, the spaces that we've tried to open, the spaces we've activated, and from the exhibition space as well. At the moment, I don't really have any immediate plans. I really think we've started something beautiful, and I would love to relook at it when I've had a very deep rest and a very big step back to assess everything and to see how best I can move forward in my career. There are a lot of things that are sort of pulling me towards the back end now. I want to be doing a lot of work with Out Black Continua, which is an entity that I started to present, to preserve cultural workers, to support alternative African musicians. And so, I want to grow that space. I want to make sure that that support is real and felt now that I've got time to focus on it and I'm not always on the road and always tired, and I can really build the team. But I think for me, it's really just to, think about how to replenish the gift and to be with my family and to get into a different way of practicing art. That might not necessarily mean that things are for sale, and it's just to build a community from scratch and to invite people into a space that I can maintain, thinking about longevity, thinking about ways to not burn out, thinking about ways to not get to this point that I got to this time around in this point in my career. So the work could travel, but I don't have the capacity to perceive its reach right now. And I'd have to look at it again, another time. I think I've been really fortunate because I did take a path that saved me from a lot of things that people go through in the industry. And, part of my work with All Black is to avail some of those options. Nobody knows, there's no one size fits all. There's no path that, we're all kind of path finding and trying to put things together. But I I'd really be interested in encouraging like a tailor-made path for every kind of artist. And so for the young ones that I think are looking up and seeing something that I've done as a way to follow, I really would just encourage them to learn as much as possible about the whole value chain, from like inception, when the idea arrives, to people's reception, and study what happens in every step of the music value chain, because that's the only way to really protect the soul of the song or the art, and that's the constant challenge, is to try, like, in every step of the way, to see how what it is that you dreamt up when you were alone, how that can be shared as purely to the people. I also want to say that it's the era for independent artistry. The big buildings don't own our art, and they don't have a way to own our stories anymore. It's good to align with partners when you know what you want to say and you understand how you want to say it. But I think the time where some person in a suit looking at a bottom line tells an artist how to be, how to sound, how to dress, I think that time is over. The internet has made, all the middlemen almost irrelevant. And now you have the choice. You can associate because it works for your creativity, and it works for your brand, and it works for your timing. But everything is in our hands. And I just want to encourage young artists to not believe the lie that you need to wait for somebody to discover you, wait for somebody to back you, wait for somebody to give you funding. You've got everything that you need to begin. Technology has collapsed all of those barriers. So yeah, I would encourage them to just go for it, and path find and tailor make a solution that makes sense for their artistry. Independence doesn't mean that you have to be alone. You can still move in community. You can still have support. But independence does give you the freedom to associate and the freedom to protect the soul of the art. You don't have to inherit relationships that come as a one-size-fits-all because of a certain building, that sign contracts that precede your presence and your present that you're here to give. You can move in a way that makes sense for you. So I would encourage that wholeheartedly, and it's possible. And there are many young people doing it. I love what I'm seeing, and I feel very encouraged by where the industry is going. Yeah. Actually, I've always been built to engage very intimately and very deeply. And so even when I was just like struggling with media and social media, and just like people are feeling overwhelmed by how this gift has put me in a space that I almost find, unbearable now, I have to think about the fact that I've always been built to move with a community that really wants to engage deeply. And I think part of my recalibration is to remember that, and to think about how to move like that in the future again. Especially because I want to share, and I'm a person who wants to connect. Trying to go to Twitter and speaking my heart, as sentimental as I am, it might not work there, because those 200,000 people are not the 2,000 people that actually care, And so for me, it's to think about how to serve the 2,000, how to think about those that will pay and sell out my shows, no matter where they are. I need to think about how to grow that base in a way that's true and meaningful, and forget about the noise. And so I'm going back to that thought, and thank you for reminding me that that's how it started for me. I'll never forget it, because that's my foundation, and those are the people that I want to move with through the rest of my career. So I want to build more meaningfully, and I want to build more truthfully, and I want to build more intentionally with people that want to grow in a like-minded way. And there's ways to do that, and there are people that I can ask for advice, and there's ways to strategize. And I also want to be able to preserve my energy so that what I give is really coming from the heart. And it's going to look different ways, and I'll be around. I'm not going to disappear. I'm just not going to be moving the same way that I've been moving before, because that's also kind of just been like, this is what happens when you're doing well. This is what a picture of success looks like. And I fell into the trap. I was like, oh, this is what it looks like. You need to be, and I know I'm allergic to the C word. I know that I don't subscribe to that whole celebrity culture, and I don't believe in that way of interacting and exchanging with people. I feel like we're all gifted, and all of us have a way that we're here to share love naturally in the world. And unfortunately for people that are in the arts or in sports or whatever, that gift gets you pedestaled or bullied or in a way that doesn't make sense. Scientists don't go through the same thing, but we're all equally gifted. So I don't buy into the lie, you know. And I think I just need to live like a person who really doesn't buy into the lie. And that's what I'm going to change. And maybe that's part of my legacy. We'll see. It's yet to unfold for all of us to see, you know, in the future.